Good morning, everyone. We're really glad you've carved out a little time today to join us on this webinar, a customer-focused approach to social media marketing. I'm Sean Kennedy, and I work on the marketing team here at Transamerica. We have some really great things for you today, and a special guest that I know you're going to all learn a lot from. So why is understanding social media so important today? Well, it's important because this is where your customers are. And while most of you are probably aware of what social media does, and you probably even have a social media profile or two, we've heard from a lot of you that want to understand how to use it to actually grow your business. And there's a big difference between being a social media user and being a social media marketer. There's a lot of great social media resources out there, but there aren't a lot that are focused on life insurance and helping you grow your business using these social media platforms. This webinar is going to help you do that, and it's the first in a series. So what are we going to cover today? You know, we've done a lot of research and polling with professionals we work with, and there's a real hunger and interest for helping to get your heads wrapped around this content. So what we're going to do today is really help make social media easier. We're going to show you how you can retain and grow existing customers. We're going to show you how to prospect and convert potential customers. And ultimately, the bottom line is we're going to show you how to reach different customers, give them what they need, and ultimately make money in social media. If you've had any of those questions around those areas, you're in luck. Because today I have a special guest that's going to help give you answers to those questions and more. Paul Slack is a serial entrepreneur with more than 20 years of direct marketing experience. He's the founder and CEO of Vendy Social and the author of Social Rules, a common sense guide to social media marketing. Paul has been featured in Success Magazine, radio, and big stage events, and he's trained tens of thousands of business leaders across the country on the best ways to leverage social media for their business. Paul will cut through the noise and share with you secrets, methods, and best practices you need to succeed in social media. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. So, let's talk about social media. Why is this so important for this audience?
Well, first of all, thank you, Sean, and thank you, Transamerica, for letting me jump on this webinar with everyone today. Very excited to be here. Here's my contact information. If you have any questions after the event, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Happy to do that for you. But obviously, this is a big question. How should or why should insurance agents and people in this industry really think about and leverage social media to help them grow their business? And we know that that's important because even in some of the surveys that have gone around, like this one from Accenture from about a year ago, just asking agents, what are the things that keep you awake at night as it relates to the internet and leveraging the internet and growing your business? And it shows right here that digital marketing is the #3 biggest, most important thing that insurance agents are trying to figure out how to leverage for their business. And it's really a big opportunity, Sean. When you think about this quote here from Accenture, it says that social media offers the best opportunity for agents to assert themselves within their micro markets, which obviously that's your territory, that's your patch. But most have not yet acquired the skills to take advantage of these relatively new forums. And so one of the things I'm really hoping to accomplish with everyone today is maybe dispel some of the fear, some of the myth that this is a hard thing to do, that it's a time-consuming thing to do, and give you those skills that will help you in just a few minutes a day, as you'll see a little bit farther down in our presentation, that you need to really be successful and grow your business with social media. You guys told us the same thing, and thank you for all of you that took the time to fill out our survey. That really helped us craft this presentation. We'll even get to your questions at the end. But what you said is that 60% of you strongly believe that social media will positively impact your business in a very big way. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, why is that? Why do we believe that? Why is this something that's keeping us awake at night? Why do we really want to get our arms around it? Well, here's my perspective on it. I truly believe that in your world, and really anybody's world, your best prospects are going to be people that you know. I mean, we all know that, right? And so here's the first thing that really I want you to get your head around. Social media really isn't that different than what you're doing today to grow your business. It's just networking, which is something we're all doing, right? But we're just networking virtually. And so I want to give you the skills, or at least walk you through some things that will help you kind of think about, how do I take some skills I already have and just transpose those into this new channel called social media. So here's our agenda, what we're going to cover in our short time that we have together today. Number one, I want to introduce you to this concept called the social media concierge. This is really just about the right behavior or the right attitude that we need to have when we engage with other people online. Then we're going to cover real quickly the 4 biggest traps that we want to avoid. So once you get active in social media, there's some things that you want to stay away from so that you're still effective and efficient as you're leveraging time and really getting into the channel. And then finally, I'll spend most of my time really covering this, how to do social media marketing the right way in just 15 minutes per day. And I really do believe you can do that. And then at the very end, we'll open it up to what we saw were the frequently, the number 1 questions. We saw kind of a theme of 4 or 5 questions as you guys were filling out that survey, and that's how we'll wrap today. So let's first just jump into this concept of a social media concierge. You know, I know we've all been at hotels that have concierge, and just think about that person's role within that hotel for a moment. You know, number one, their job is not to sell you anything, right? Their job is to make sure that you have a great time in their hotel. Maybe to point you to the right place to go to your meeting, or if you're interested in going out and getting some Chinese food, what's a good Chinese food restaurant, or whatever the case may be. Well, we need to have that same attitude. So we don't want to think about ourselves as we engage with other humans in social media as a pushy used car salesman, but rather we want to think about ourselves as this concierge and help people have a great time in our industry. You know, we know more about insurance, and we know more about things like estate planning and preparing for retirement than our prospects do. And so we have the opportunity to kind of step in, point people in the right direction, and answer their questions. And that's really what a social media concierge is all about. And the reason why we have to start thinking about ourselves this way is that we all are just getting bombarded with a ton of information these days. You know, this is a quote all the way back from 1971 that said, "A world of information creates a poverty of attention," and that's definitely what we're looking at today when we have ubiquitous access to information on our smartphones. I can't tell you how many times at dinner with my family we have some question that comes up, and the next thing I know, somebody's grabbing their phone and Googling to find out, you know, who won the Oscar in 1952 or something like that. We have ubiquitous access to information that's created, making it very hard for consumers to find, or for us to, you know, get in front of our consumers and become top of mind. And a social media concierge is going to help us do that. Here's what Eric Schmidt said about just the challenge that we're dealing with and just the amount of data that's out there. Every 2 days, we create as much information as we did from the dawn of civilization up to 2003. Every 2 days. Now that's a lot of information, and how are we going to cut through all of that and become top of mind with our consumers? Well, social media concierge is a way to do that. And to really just drive this point home a little bit more, let's look at the universe that is the online world. There are 1 trillion web pages that are out there today, 2.4 billion people online, and we as an average consumer of information are consuming about 3,000 web pages a month. That's 93 pages a day.
That is a ton of information. That's information overload. You know, so Paul, given that, you know, given all that noise, what should life insurance professionals be doing to cut through all that noise?
Well, you know, that's a great point, Sean. There's a lot of noise out there, and the social media concierge is a way to really begin to cut through that noise. But we also have to understand kind of what's going on in the customer life cycle, and what is it that we're really trying to accomplish and to help them accomplish online. Now, we don't want to be this pushy used car salesman, but what we do want to do is understand kind of what they're going to go through and how we're going to leverage the web and specifically social media as they're going through their buying cycle. You know, the first stage there in number 1, you can see that they need to become aware that you exist, and that goes right back to what you just said, Sean. Right? We got to cut through the noise. Right? Become aware that you exist. Number 2, we need them to build trust in you. And this social media concierge is all about building trust because you're helping them. You're not trying to sell them. And then number three, this is a really big one in the world of social media. We need them to share your information with others that are in their decision-making process, right? That might be a husband or a spouse or a business partner, whatever the case may be. The beautiful thing about social media is it's highly shareable. It's very easy to share information. And so leveraging social media and being this concierge is a good way to make it easy for people to share your stuff. Number four, you ultimately want them to purchase products and services from you. Now, I'm going to submit to you that they're not going to do that on the internet, and they're not going to do that in social media. Social media really is a means to the end, and we'll get to that a little bit later on in our presentation. And then finally, number five, you want them to tell their friends about how great you are. That's another awesome part of social media, and why you need to have social media in your marketing mix is that it's very easy for people to rate you, review you, and share with their friends how awesome you are, and their friends obviously ultimately become your next suspects, prospects, and hopefully customers. So that's what this is all about. And so as we think about, okay, now let's peel back the onion a little bit and look at, what are the fundamentals of being this social media concierge. The first thing we need to think about is that we really need to become an educator, right? We need to set ourselves up as the insurance guru in your community. You've got the little part of the world that you live in and interact with other people. You need to be that insurance guru in that space. You need to be willing to provide subject matter expertise. Like I said a little bit earlier on, you know more about insurance than they do, and you need to share that with them. The third bullet there, we need to find great articles and share those articles. Be this curator, and you'll hear me talk about curator a little bit more as we go through this today. But your job is to kind of go out there and find the best articles out there related to your industry that will improve the lives of the folks that you're connected with, so that you can stay top of mind. So examples of that might be, articles about term insurance or permanent insurance, or how to leave a legacy, or how to save for college. And these don't have to necessarily be written by you, but you're kind of that curator, as I was just mentioning. And the reason that that's important is that consumers are now, according to IBM and this great study that they did, the most well-informed, self-educated consumers of all time. In fact, what this report is showing us here, this chart is showing us here, is that the consumers are 57% through the decision-making process before they ever pick up the phone and call you about a product or service or how to help them. Let that sit in for just a second. Consumers are 57% through the buying process. What that means is that before they ever reach out to you or your competitors or your peers to ask for some help, they're doing research on their own. And what being a social media concierge is going to give you the opportunity to do is connect with these potential customers very early cycle. If you're waiting for your phone to ring, or your competitors are waiting for their phone to ring, it might be too late, because by the time they pick up the phone and call you, they've already established a lot of beliefs about how to best meet their needs. And we all know that there's a lot of confusion in the insurance space, right? What if they decide that term insurance is what they want because they've done that research on their own? Wouldn't you rather kind of connect with them early and give them some things to think about, all the other parts to consider when making an insurance decision like that?
Paul, I think it's funny when some people in the industry see stats like this, there's that concern that, well, if people are doing all this research and they have access to all this information, do they still need professional advice, or do they still need a human in that interaction? What would you say to them when they have that concern?
That's a really good point, and I don't think that that's something that in the insurance space you're going to have to worry about too much, right? At the end of the day, consumers are going to go out there and do research on their own, and I'm hoping that you'll become a part of that process for them, and you'll give them the information that they need to make informed purchase decisions. But by the time they're ready to sign on the dotted line, so to speak, we all know they're going to have questions. They're going to need somebody that is a subject matter expert to help them pick between product A or product B. So maybe they know, okay, I don't need I don't need term insurance, I need permanent insurance, but which package is the right one for me? And that's where you guys are going to be able to provide a lot of value, and it's just a natural fit right into what you're already doing. Because
Agreed. I mean, that's what our research is saying too. Yeah, that they do want a human in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I'm proposing to tie right into that, Sean, is, being the social media concierge, you're already setting the stage day one that you are that person that they need to close and do business with, because you're helping them early cycle when they're trying to do research on their own. And so that ties right into the kind of this next component of being this concierge. We need to be a problem solver. One big problem that I see in the world of internet marketing and social media marketing that goes beyond, insurance and helping people make financial decisions like this is that we all want to talk about the products we sell. But at the end of the day, consumers really don't care about that, right? They care about the problems that you can help solve. And so we want to be a problem solver. And so, examples that I have here is you're thinking about, well, what should I be talking about in social media, or what things should I go and try to find articles around? Best ways to save for retirement, leaving a legacy. Does money really buy you happiness? These are just examples of providing some advice, some guidance, and solve problems that are really important to them. Remember, people buy on emotion first, right? And then they buy on logic. And so emotions are these bullets that you see right here. Safety, security, fear of loss. These are the big ones for your space. And so when you're writing or connecting and engaging and sharing information, remember that these are the things that are going to be hot buttons for your customers and prospects. So what does that look like in the insurance world? Well, I think it kind of looks like this. They're thinking to themselves, I need life insurance, number one, so my family is financially protected. Number two, so I can sleep better at night knowing that they are, because I want to retire at 55 and I don't trust the stock market. It's going up and down all the time. Or maybe number four, because people really depend on me and I know that's important. Sean and I were talking the other day, and I know he's got 2 little kids at home, and I know he's really concerned about taking care of them, especially if something were to happen to him. These are the same things that our customers are thinking about and are going to lean to you for help with. And so we need to be a problem solver. We also need to be ourselves. At the end of the day, you are unique. You're different than any other agent out there, and you really need to begin to think about, how do I let my personality shine through? Because if you're just trying to look like another Me Too person and not let your personality shine through, you're really going to kind of just be watered down. And so, I encourage everybody that's going to engage in social media to really let your personality shine through and think about your personal brand. What makes you different? One thing you hear a lot these days is, what is the why behind the what? Why do you sell insurance? Why do you provide the kinds of services that you provide? There's a reason that you do that, and that needs to come through in your social media engagement. Be willing to tell stories, right? People love to hear stories about how you've helped a person or a business, or how financial products help a person or a business. So tell those stories, make them laugh. And then this last bullet is really, really important. You need to help your contacts connect with others. So think about this. Let's say you've got 400 or 500 or 600 people that you're connected with in social media. Well, I promise you that some of those people that you're connected with, prospect A would love to get to know prospect B, because maybe prospect A can provide them some kind of a service or a product. And so I want you to think about yourself as this professional introducer, where you're going to really get to know the folks that are in your network. And if you can make connections for them to improve their lives, even if it doesn't involve any type of insurance transaction, that's what a good social media concierge will do. And so let me just quickly recap, and then we'll move into another area here. And social media concierge is really all about helping others, right? That way you're going to stay top of mind. You're going to be this insurance guru, and it's going to be real easy for people to share your stuff and also talk about how great you are. And so that's the right attitude. That's the right behavior that we need to have. And one thing that I wanted to make sure that I showed you, because I've heard this at other events where I've had an opportunity to talk to insurance agents. They always want to know, well, what does a lead look like? If I'm not going to try to sell something online, or I'm not going to try to close the deal online, well, what does a lead look like? And I wanted to show you several examples that have come to me even over the last few months. Most of my leads, by the way, come from LinkedIn. I think that will be true for you as well. But this is what they look like. Here's one that I just got the other day. And I want you to really kind of grasp this. So here's an email that I received through LinkedIn from a guy that I met a few years back, okay, a long time ago, but we're connected in LinkedIn, and he works for a big company, and that big company right here, and they're ready to start doing something in social media, and so he's reaching out asking for an initial phone consultation so that we can kind of talk through his needs or wants. I had that conversation with him a couple of days ago, and it looks like they're going to move forward with us. And so that's when you're acting as a social media concierge, you're providing value, you're staying top of mind. That's really how you're going to generate leads using social media.
And that is a great example, because yeah, when the person was ready to buy your services, they thought of you because you're staying top of mind in your network. That's a great example, Paul. And I think that's what the audience is really looking for, is that how do I do this? What does it look like? So let's for a second, let's take the flip side of that. Are there things that we should be careful not to do in social media?
Yeah, you bet. And that's an awesome segue, Sean, into the next section, which are, what are the traps that we need to avoid, right? So welcome to the meme portion of my presentation today. I really, want to get you guys excited about getting engaged in social media, but I do want to give you a couple of things to think about in terms of traps. And so the first trap, and I've touched on this a little bit already, is to not try, or the trap is to try to close the deal online, right? This is not the place to do that. We are in the relationship business, and social media sites are not billboards, right? If you start trying to get what I call premature presentation going on, you're going to actually turn your audience off really fast. Remember, you're in a relationship business, and your job with social media is to connect with folks and build and nurture relationships, not close the deal.
Yeah, and I think that being careful to avoid that hard sell is really important. What's another trap?
Well, this one is a myth, I'm guessing, is out there, or even some people are thinking as they're listening to us talk today that, oh my gosh, social media, it is such a waste of time. And I'm going to submit to you today that it is not a waste of time. Social media really is going to give you the opportunity to connect with people in a way that is actually much more efficient than traditional ways of connecting with folks. I mean, ask yourself, what takes more time? Finding, connecting, and engaging with prospects in the real world, or connecting with them online? Think about, having that coffee with one person at Starbucks and all the time invested in that, or having an asynchronous situation where you're connecting with people through social media and you're publishing content that's useful to lots of folks. It really is much more efficient. Now, I'm not here to say you need to quit networking in the real world. That's still very important, but I want you to forget thinking that this is a waste of time.
No, I think I agree with you. I think it's something that we all have to do, whether we want to or not. At this point, social media is almost table stakes. It's things we have to do. So as far as, obviously making the most of our time, is there anything that we can do to make sure that we're doing that?
Well, that's yes, because this is going to sound counter to what I just said, because the third trap, second trap is don't think it's a waste of time, but the third trap is don't waste your time doing unproductive activities. And so there is this vortex, this sucking sound that can happen in social media if you're not approaching it the right way. And so the key to being productive and effective in social media is to have a plan. The old saying, planning to fail or failing to plan is planning to fail, right? A good plan is better than no plan. And so what you want to do is go into social media understanding that you're not there to get sucked into all the link bait and all the different things that are going on Facebook, but you're going in there to find folks, to connect with them, and to share your subject matter expertise. And if you can do that and approach it that way, you can get in and out and accomplish what you want to accomplish. And then the fourth trap is lack of consistency. Here's a great quote from Bruce Lee that said, long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. And the key here is to understand that social media does have a little bit of a long fuse. It's not instant gratification. And we live in an instant gratification world. We stand right outside of our microwave yelling at it to cook our lunch faster, our TV dinner faster, whatever the case may be. And I want you to start thinking about social media much more like that old-fashioned hand crank pump, those water pumps. And, Zig Ziglar used to talk about this in his wonderful talks back when he was with us. And he was like, you've got to pump and prime that pump, and it may take 4 or 5 or 6 pumps before the water starts flowing. But as soon as it does, it flows very easily. And so I'm going to just encourage all of you that are listening today, if it takes 5 pumps, don't give up on the 3rd or 4th pump. Understand that this isn't instant gratification, but once you get there, once those leads start flowing, they're not going to stop.
I mean, I definitely think, the audience would kind of love to get that pipeline flowing. What are the things they can do to, make the most of their time and get the most done?
Yeah, that's what we're going to really talk about next is, how do I leverage social media? How do I do it in a short amount of time to accomplish what it is that I want to accomplish? And going back to the survey that you guys filled out, this is what you told us you're trying to accomplish online and where you need the most help. Number 1, I need help finding prospects. Number 2, I need help generating leads out of my network. Number 3, how do I stay connected with folks? And then number 4, how do I come up with interesting things to say? And so what we've done is come up with this concept that ties right into that ebook that you heard about you're going to receive as a participant in today's webinar that's all about how to leverage social media. And inside of that ebook is this concept called the tactical wheel. And you know what, Sean, that really is key. That's what's going to help folks do social media in a very efficient way, acting as that social media concierge and avoiding the 4 traps that we just talked about. And so there's these 5 fundamental things that we need to do inside of social media day in and day out. And if we do these 5 things, listening, building community, broadcasting, content, and conversion, I promise you'll be able to do social media in a way that grows your business and grows your practice and generates leads, and to do it in a very short amount of time. So maybe it's 15 minutes a day, maybe it's 20 minutes a day, but if you'll follow these steps, I promise you'll be effective.
So those on the call that have been, kind of asking for what should I be doing and how do I actually get started in social media, this is the section you want to really pay close attention to.
And you're going to have a replay of this, right, Sean? So, I mean, I'm going to cover a lot of stuff, but you'll be able to watch this again too.
Yeah, absolutely. If Paul moves relatively quickly through this, never fear. You will get a replay of this. You will be able to watch it again, slow down, rewind the areas that you really, go back to the areas that you really want to focus more attention on. So if he moves fast, don't worry about it. You will get a replay of this.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so as we're digging into this, there's a couple of prerequisites that I want to walk us through. And, one thing that we heard from you guys is, hey, give me a recipe. What are the things that I need? What are kind of the minimum things I need to really be effective in social media? Well, here they are. If you're going to follow the plan I'm about to walk you through, I need you to have a LinkedIn page, maybe a LinkedIn company page if you're an agency, a Twitter profile, a Facebook page, maybe a Facebook business page. We'll talk a little bit about that later. A YouTube account, a Google Plus account, MailChimp or Constant Contact for sending out emails, and then Buffer or Pocket as a way to cache information that you're going to find online and then publish it to your audience. And you know what's great about this list? There's nothing on this list that costs anything. In fact, MailChimp, you can have a free account with MailChimp up until you get to a certain number of email addresses in your account. So nothing in here is going to cost you money. You just need to go set it up. Now, if you want varsity would be to add these 3 additional things. Having a website for yourself, having a way on that website to generate and capture leads like a form, and then having a blog where you can share information. And because we know that there was, well over 500 people in attendance today, I think over 1,000 people that registered, what we decided to do is really build out this as if you are in that early stage with the minimum prerequisites. So as I walk through this, I'm going to assume that you don't have a website or a way to capture leads for right now. And certainly the things that I'm going to walk you through, you can do in either case. So let's go ahead and just jump into each stage of the tactical wheel here. And the very first step, the first thing we want to do in social media is we just want to listen to the conversations that are going on in social media today. And social media is an open platform, which means that it's very easy for you to monitor those conversations, especially those in your network. But I'm going to show you a couple of cool things you can do to even find conversations outside of your network. So what are we listening for? Well, we're listening for things like life events, right? I've got a new job, I'm having a birthday, I'm getting married, I'm going to this college, or my son is graduating from college, or maybe I'm moving to a new market, right? We're listening for prospects based on life events, and tools that we can leverage to do that are, number one, your LinkedIn homepage. I'll show you an example of that in a second. Twitter advanced search, and then Facebook. And so here's my pro tip, and you'll see each of these I've got a pro tip for you. So as you find these life events, what you want to have in your back pocket, so to speak, are some great articles that you can share with these folks as you run into and encounter them based on these life events. And so here's how to leverage LinkedIn. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn because I know the good folks over at Transamerica have a really great trainer that does nothing but LinkedIn. And you'll want to be sure to attend that webinar, and he'll walk you through all the things you can do to optimize your profile and some of the things here that I'm going to talk about. LinkedIn's awesome, right? Because you log into LinkedIn, and the first thing that it does right here as you log in, it's like all these life events that are going on with the people that you're connected with. It's going to tell you if they've got a new job, if they're having a birthday, if they're having a work anniversary. These are all things that you need to be listening for, and in using that opportunity to engage with those folks. So that's an example of listening. Let me show you how to listen using Twitter advanced search. And so this is why you need to have a Twitter account, so you can take advantage of what I'm going to show you here. So let me just bounce out to the web. So here I am. I'm just in Google, and I've done a search for Twitter advanced search. This part of Twitter is so hard to find on Twitter that the best way to get there is just the way that I'm showing you right here. Just go to Google, type in Twitter advanced search, and then just click on the first listing. That's Twitter advanced search. Now, what this is going to do is give us the ability to listen for conversations all over the web based on key phrases that we provided. And so we're going to listen for a life event about moving to Dallas, because I'm from Dallas, right? So I'm just going to type in moving to Dallas right here, and then I'm going to do a search. And what you're going to see are hundreds of posts of people talking about moving to Dallas. And so if I'm an insurance agent in Dallas and there's new people coming into my market, I sure want to know about that. And this gives me a very early cycle opportunity for me to reach out and connect with them and engage with them and say, hey, I see that you're moving to Dallas. Guess what? I've got this really good article on the best school districts in Dallas, or whatever that might be. So that's an example of using Twitter to listen for prospects. Another thing that we can do is listen on Facebook. And so you can see in this example here, I just typed in baby girl in the search bar, and the first thing that it pulled back to me are all of my friends, the people that are connected to me, that put baby girl in their posts. Some of them might be talking about how much they love their baby girl, or how much they just had a baby girl. What a great opportunity for me to connect with them and congratulate them, or tell them that they have a beautiful baby girl, whatever the case may be. And so this is just another way of looking for those life events. Now, one thing I do want to warn you about is in Facebook, when you type a search like this, you can also get posts that aren't your friends. And I'm going to encourage you, while on Twitter, finding somebody that says they're moving to Dallas that you don't know and reaching out and engaging with them is perfectly fine, because that's acceptable on Twitter. Sean, wouldn't you agree we don't want necessarily to find a stranger on Facebook that just talked about posting a picture of their baby girl and reaching out and engaging with them? That's probably not a good idea. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I would say that could be kind of creepy, and I think it's a good point, because there are differences between the social platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Facebook, you're going to build a network of friends. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Twitter, we can actually connect with strangers, and that's no big deal. Okay, so the other thing we want to listen for, not only for prospective customers and life events, we also want to listen for content. Remember, we want to be that social media concierge, and we want to share useful and beneficial information to our audience. And so we can listen for content. And so we're looking for things like financial information, or humorous items, or life stage information. And so some great tools to help you listen for content are right here, Buffer, Pocket, Google Alerts, and the Transamerica blog. And I'm going to highlight a few of these for you. So the first one is Google Alerts. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard of Google Alerts before. I've been using it for years. I absolutely love Google Alerts. Let me run over to my browser real quick. Sorry, I got it right there. Okay. So here we are. This is Google. I'm back in Google, and guess what? I'm just typing in Google Alerts. Google is the most awesome way to find anything, in my opinion. So I just type in Google Alerts. Google Alerts pops up as the very first listing, and it takes me to this page. Now, you have to have a Google account in order to do this. That's why I mentioned you need to have that. But if you'll notice, I've got several alerts already set up here: estate planning, life insurance, paying or saving or preparing for college. And what I'm doing is I'm basically training Google to send me information that it finds out on the web that's relevant to that topic. And I can even program it to send it to me however often I want. So you just simply type in, I've already got one for estate planning here, but you just type in whatever that key phrase is. Let me go back because I've already got that one set up. Bear with me here. Okay, and I'm just going to click edit so you can see what my options are. So I've got estate planning up here. I can tell it how often I want Google to send me that information. So I've got it set for once a week. Really important to select blogs, news, and video. You don't want everything from the web because you're looking for useful articles to share with your audience, okay? Obviously, you want it in English, the United States. I always tell it only the best results, not all results. That way Google will apply its algorithm to deliver that, and then it delivers it right to my email once a week. And I've trained my email, and I've set up a folder in my inbox called Google Alerts. And then I set a rule that anytime I get an email from Google Alerts to automatically file that right into that folder. So I never have to really worry about it until I'm ready to go do something with that information. And then having buffer is another really important part of that, and I'll get to that in just a second. So that's Google Alerts.
Yeah, and this is great because this is the answer to those questions of, where do I find the content to give to these prospects when I know they've had a life event or something that I could talk to them about. And this is basically a situation where you're setting Google up to feed you content automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we're going to try to do social media marketing in 15 minutes a day, we have to leverage tools like this so that we're not trying to hunt for that kind of information all the time. We just have it, filed away, so to speak. And buffer is going to be your very best friend for that. And so let me show you how you could potentially use buffer, which again is a free tool. Let me just run over there real quick. So I've got Buffer set up. You just go to buffer.com to set up an account. You can log in with your Twitter account or your Facebook account. Super simple to set up. And then you connect all your social media here. And I'm in a part of Buffer right here that's just called RSS feeds. And when I find really interesting content providers, I can go connect their blogs to Buffer. And you can see one of them I've got is actually the Transamerica blog. But notice I've got my blog there as well. I've got Forbes, Success Magazine, Inc. Magazine. So I've got a lot of good content providers already plugged into Buffer, so to speak. And so, Transamerica does a wonderful job of publishing really good consumer-facing content. So by connecting Buffer to the Transamerica blog, I can just go through here and check out some interesting articles. This first one looks pretty interesting. 4 ways grandparents can help their grandkids pay for college. And if I like that, I can just simply click the add button, and then it's asking me what social networks do I want to connect that to, and I just select the ones I want, deselect the ones I don't, and then add it to my queue. And it's that simple. I get to pick the right image, and then there we go. Now, one thing I'm going to show you that Buffer's really cool about is it's creating a queue of content for you. But I could share it right now if I wanted to. I could share it as the next post. You tell Buffer how often you want to publish. And so what you're doing is you're kind of going around the web looking for information. And as you find information, you just add it to your queue. So you keep this great supply of content that's going to publish as often as you want. Now, I have Buffer published to my social accounts twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. If you're going to go down the Buffer path, another thing you're going to want to do, and I'm going to just try to do this here, is, I'm going to just pull up this article real quick, is you're going to want to get their Chrome plugin as well. And that always happens when you try to do something live. Sorry about that. Let me see if I'm just trying to pull up one of these articles real quick. Here we go. So I've got the buffer extension right here on my Chrome browser. And so here I am. Let's say I'm just surfing the web and I run across an article like this and I'll go, wow, that's pretty awesome. I want to share that with my audience. I literally just click this. And then buffer pops up and it says, what do you want? Where do you want that to go? And do you want to add it to your queue? Do you want it to go next? All those things. And so buffer really is going to be a huge time saver for you. It's a great way to not only find content, but also schedule posts and create this great supply of information for you to share. And it publishes that stuff for you while you're doing other things. You could be literally sitting having coffee with a prospect and publishing in your social media at the same time, and that's really key. Okay, well, let's move on to the next step of the tactical wheel, which is building community. So listening was all about, finding prospects and finding life events and finding content. Now what we want to do is think about ways that we can effectively and efficiently get folks to friend, follow, and like us in social media. So here's a handful of things to think about. Number one, we want to be sure to follow in social media, especially Facebook, all the community pages that you can find. I live in a suburb of Dallas called Flower Mound, and so there's all kinds of community-oriented Facebook pages about Flower Mound, and I want to be a follower of those pages, and it's a great way for me to find other people in my area because I can see who's also following those pages. Number two, you want to attend a lot of networking events. You remember earlier when I said that, social media does not replace traditional networking. It can only enhance and extend it, and that's absolutely the case here. So we want to go out and meet people that we don't know and then invite those people to like us either on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, whatever they are using, obviously. So a great way to find good networking events is using Eventbrite or Meetup. These are wonderful online tools that help you find things that are going on in your community. I'll show you an example of that in just a second. Number three, we want to connect with friends and relatives on Facebook. That's a no-brainer. Number four, we want to connect with everyone you meet in the business world on LinkedIn. Number five, we want to check LinkedIn each day to see who's viewed your profile and join groups and invite people that are in those groups to connect with you. And you're going to have a great training, like I mentioned earlier, from Terry Sullivan here in not too distant future, all about LinkedIn. So I won't go into detail about that. But here's my pro tip. If you're one of those guys that's got stacks and stacks of business cards with a rubber band wrapped around them, I'm going to encourage you to today go into LinkedIn, grab those stacks of business cards, look everybody up on LinkedIn and send them a connection request, and then throw those business cards away because LinkedIn really needs to become your new Rolodex. So let me show you this Meetup website. So I mentioned Meetup and Eventbrite are great ways for you to find networking events. I'm just going to run back out to the web again and pull up Meetup here. And so Meetup, same thing, it's a free service. You can connect with Facebook, you can connect with Twitter, whatever account you want to use to set it up, so you don't have to go through a long, involved setup process. And then you train it. You tell it what kind of events you're interested in, what part of your town that you're interested in, and then every time you log in, it just gives you all kinds of networking events that you can go to. And you can see right here, there's several networking opportunities right in my area. And so, my encouragement to you would be to join Meetup or Eventbrite and go find opportunities to meet folks in your community, and then use that opportunity then to go get them to connect with you in these social channels. Okay, so we've listened, we've built community, and now we need to start saying something to our audience that is useful and beneficial. And so that's what we call broadcasting. And some ideas around broadcasting. Number one, we want to post one curated article per day per channel. Now, if you're using Buffer, that's a no-brainer, right? Because it'll have all kinds of great supply of information that will automatically happen for you. Number two, you want to promote community events. This is going to show that you're a part of a community. It also shows that you're a pillar of that community. And so as you're joining those community pages on Facebook and you see there's an event this weekend, a balloon, something like a sunrise balloon thing, or Easter egg hunt, or whatever the case may be, you want to be an advocate of those things and share those and participate in those conversations. Number 3, you want to like, share, and comment on at least one post per channel per day. So other people are publishing things, and this is going to give you the opportunity to like that, to share it with your community, or to comment on it. And this is just a key. It takes 2 or 3 minutes, and you can do that, and that's going to help you stay top of mind, not only with the person that published that piece of information, but all of their followers as well. It's a great way to kind of extend your awareness, so to speak. And so when we're thinking about what should we be sharing, all the stuff we've been talking about, articles, comments, quotes, pictures, knowledge, advice, subject matter expertise, those are all examples of things that we should be publishing. So our pro tip here is, as you're reaching out and connecting with folks, you might have some drip email ready to go, as you can see right here, for people that connect with you. So let's say, and this is a great idea for LinkedIn, so you send out a LinkedIn request, somebody accepts that request, have 3 emails ready to go that you're going to send to everybody that does that. I'll show you what I do. So when you reach out and connect with me, or somebody does, or I reach out and ask for a connection request and I get it back, I just simply send, my first email is this. It's the same one every time, and it just says, thanks for connecting. Feel free to reach out with questions, comments, or if I can be of help. Cheers, Paul. Very subtle.
And for those that may not be familiar with the terminology of drip emails, it's just basically having a handful. If there's a common behavior that your audience might take with you, just having a handful of emails ready to go, like the introduction, and then maybe some value add, and then maybe the last step of, let's set up for a meeting or something. That's kind of what Paul's referring to there.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Sean. So step 1 is thanks for connecting. Step 2 is, hey, here's a cool article that I found that I thought you might find interesting. And then maybe step 3 of that is, if you ever want an audit or talk about your financial situation, let me know. Be happy to buy you a cup of coffee, something like that. Great point. Okay, so let's move on to kind of a recipe for success when it comes to broadcasting, because when I cover these 5 steps, folks will often come up to me and say, well, there's lots of different things you're talking about publishing. How do I know what the right amount should be? And so this is just a simple recipe to follow, and that's that 20 to 30% of your content should be designed to create engagement. The content that you're publishing is there to get somebody to like, share, or comment on it. A great example of a post for creating engagement might be an open-ended question. Just ask an open-ended question. It's going to beg people to, kind of basically answer the question. You're creating engagement by doing that. 20 to 30% of your content should be curated. If you have a website, 20 to 30% of your content should be designed to drive traffic out of those social platforms onto your website. 10 to 20% of your broadcasting should be done on other people's social media pages, their Facebook page, their company page, whatever the case may be. And then 10 to 20% of what you broadcast can be promotional, promoting an event or offering to do some kind of a sit down with folks and auditing their financial situation, whatever that case may be. If you do that, if you're making sure that only 10% of your posts are promotional, nobody's ever going to feel like you're a creepy or pushy used car salesman. So that's a great recipe to get started with. And it's not a hard and fast rule. I think everybody's got to figure that out for themselves, but it's a good starting point. I wanted to give you examples of what posts might look like. And so you can see, here's one that I published not too long ago that was on, 5 oddly helpful benefits from getting fired in your 20s and 30s. So just something interesting that I found out there. This one here in the middle is actually a real post that came from my insurance agent, and it's just using humor. It's a meme that he found out there. It just says, as I get older, I realize, I talk to myself because sometimes I need expert advice, and it's other just humorous little things in that post. And then here's another post that I found that's more direct and in line with just giving useful information around life insurance. And so mix it up. Have some good stuff that you can share with your audience. Okay, that gets me to the next step, which is the content step. So we've been listening to find folks and find good information and building community to get them to friend, follow, and like us. And now we're saying things to them to stay top of mind. Content really is the opportunity where we can show your subject matter expertise. And this is a critical part of the process. Because if you look at point number 1 up here, when clients and prospects start to read what you write, they start really developing trust in you and go, oh man, that's Sean. He really is smart. He really understands my situation. And it's a way of building relationship with them in an asynchronous way. And so I'm going to show you how to do that even if you don't have your own blog. And so we've got to come up with a way of telling our story too. So sure, yeah, we want to be a curator, as I've mentioned a lot today, but we've also got to be the author of some useful information. And my encouragement to you in number 2 here is to write 2 to 4 articles a month and publish them either in LinkedIn, I'll show you how to do that in a second, or in your blog, depending on your circumstance. And these articles don't have to be tomes. In fact, I would encourage you that people don't like, long form content that much. I'm talking about 500 to 1,000 word articles. And if you've never done anything like this before, maybe you just start with trying to do 2 a month. And then once you've got those articles out there, send them to your LinkedIn connections as a way of sharing your subject matter expertise. So number 4, you see some ideas here. Remember that stories sell. I mentioned that earlier. People would rather hear a story than read about your features, advantages, and benefits all day long. Instructional how-to. People love that. How to prepare for college, how to prepare for retirement. Frequently asked questions. That ties right into my pro tip over here. Pay attention to the questions that you're hearing all the time as you're meeting with your customers. And those questions could become topics for articles that you want to write. Also, getting back to the bullets here, you want to make sure that you're using lists and bulleted information today in your articles. We're all very busy, and there's a lot of noise out there, as we talked about at the beginning. And so the more you can organize your content so that it can be skimmed and not read, the more opportunity you have that people are actually going to consume that information. That's why you're seeing so many lists these days. Top 5 reasons to do this and top 10 things to avoid. That's because they know that people are going to read whatever's in that list, and if they find that interesting, then they might dig a little bit. And then finally, industry updates. You want to be sure to share those out there. These are just examples of good content. So if you don't have a blog, you can easily turn LinkedIn into your own personal blog by using their publisher feature. So let me just run out to LinkedIn real quick and pull that up, and just so you can see what I'm talking about. So here I am. I'm in LinkedIn, and you'll notice I can share an update. That would be broadcasting, right? Just posting something out there. But notice right here, I can publish a post. And this is where I can write an article, and this is that 500 to 1,000 word article that I can then literally turn LinkedIn into my own blog. And what's cool about that is already embedded into that LinkedIn publisher feature are share features. So I can write this article, put it in LinkedIn, then I can share it on LinkedIn, I can share it on Facebook, I can share it on Twitter, and that's how I can literally turn LinkedIn into my own blog. So you don't even need a blog to get out there and be a publisher and be an author and to share content, which is such an important part of the process.
And I think that's a really important point to make. And the only thing I would say, definitely it's important to be topical with your audiences and cover things that they're interested in. The only thing I would throw out there is just to be cautious, not to be too polarizing or controversial, potentially, because you don't want to turn your audience off. So, offer things that have value to them, but maybe stay away from things that could turn them off.
Yeah, great point, Sean. Leverage this as a tool to show your subject matter expertise, but you don't want to be too controversial either. Your job is to share knowledge and to impart wisdom and to help improve the lives of the folks that are following you, and always keep it kind of in that vein, and I think you'll be fine. So everything we've done up to this point is to get us to the last step, and this is the converting step. And you may be thinking to yourself, why is there a converting step when you've said you don't want to be a pushy used car salesman online? Well, absolutely, we don't want that, but what we do want to do is make it super, super easy for anybody that is interested in our help to make it easy for them to connect with us. And so we also want to leverage social media as a way to promote things that we might be doing in the real world. And so some of the things that we can do are Number one, host events. Maybe 6 events a year, 12 events a year. I don't know what works in your world, but host events on retirement, preparing for college, etc., and then use social media as a way to let people know that you're having these events. In fact, Facebook's got a wonderful event manager that you can create an event on Facebook and then invite all of your friends on Facebook to attend that event. You also want to take a look at things that are going on in the world around you. Like right now, it's election year. What are some things that you can do or events that you can host based on that? Or the stock market recently took a big dive. Is there something that you could leverage around that and host an event around that? And then you also want to audit your social media presence and make sure that your phone number is there, that your email address is there, that it's easy for people to connect with you. I can't tell you how many LinkedIn profiles I run into where the person hasn't put their contact information, especially like their phone number. So be sure you've done that. So here is a bit of a varsity pro tip, but I wanted to share it with you guys anyways around converting. So if you're going to host these events about preparing for college or retirement or whatever the case may be, and that's a real world life event, and people are going to come into the library or wherever you might host them, maybe your office, to listen to you talk about these events. Well, you can take that same content and create a webinar version of it by just sharing the slides like we're doing today and using GoToWebinar or even Google Plus today. You can do live events on Google Plus and record them, and then go to YouTube, upload that information as a video, and then share that video to all the folks that weren't able to make it. And now you're still leveraging that content in multiple ways to help you ultimately connect with potential customers. And so here's, just so you can see what I was talking about inside of Facebook, we can set up an event and then invite our friends to come to that event. And then go out into social media and let people know that you're having that event. And you can do that directly through direct messages right in social media. This is a great example I wanted to share with you because we do several events throughout the year. One of them we do with Google each year, and a lot of people like to come to that. It's called a Google breakfast. And so what I do when I'm in a market where we're going to do a Google breakfast, I go find all my connections that are in LinkedIn inside that town or city, and then I just send them an email and say, hey, we're doing this Google breakfast on this date. Can you come attend that event? And the reason I've got this particular one up is we did an event here in Dallas last year, and Lisa was able to come and attend that meeting, and then they signed up for our services about a week later, and they're now our largest client. And so we leverage social media. We're doing all the things that I've been telling you about today, and then we host an event, and we invite Lisa to that event, and now she's my biggest client. And so these are the types of things you need to be doing in social media, and you'll have some great results by doing that. And so let me just kind of recap the tactical wheel here for you real quick. If we'll just listen, build community, broadcast, provide our own content two to 4 times a month, and make sure it's super easy for people to attend our events or connect with us when they're ready to go, you're going to have a lot of success. And you'll be able to do social media, I promise you, 15 minutes a day, maybe 20 on a slow day, but do these things and you will be in a great position to grow your business over the next year.
That is great, Paul. I think that was, that was incredible. So, we got a few minutes left here. Why don't we cover some of the questions that you all had that you submitted to us through the survey? Number one, these were the top 4 that came in to us. Number one, how to get started. I think Paul did a great job kind of going through that throughout this presentation, so we probably don't have to spend a lot of time on that one. But number 2, and this is a pretty common question from a lot of people, why Facebook?
I'm glad that question came up, and there were lots of questions about why Facebook, and specifically about if I'm an insurance agent, do I need to have a Facebook page and a business page? And I would submit to you that if you were in any other industry, I would tell you you absolutely need to have a business page. But if you're an independent agent, I think you can accomplish everything on your just regular Facebook page. But you're going to have to make a decision, whether or not you're comfortable with customers and prospects seeing you in the real world, right? Because they're going to be able to see everything. And I'm a big fan of just being an integrated person, right? And so, customers, prospects, friends, they're all the same to me. And if they see a picture of my kid or some advice on life insurance, I don't have a problem with that. But if you want to keep those separate, then you'll need to set up a Facebook business page for that. But I think we covered all the reasons why we need to be in Facebook. It's a good place
Yeah,
to find folks that are having life events, etc.
definitely. Number 3, what tools are there to help you save time? And I think you mentioned a lot of them that I think are great. Are there any others you want to talk about or touch on or even reinforce?
There are plenty of tools out there, and I really try to focus on tools that will, give you lots of efficiency that won't cost you hardly anything. In fact, most of the tools that I talked about today at least have a free version. And so I think Buffer, write that one down. That's going to be a lifesaver for you. That Meetup is another great tool that you'll want to take advantage of. Those are going to help you save a lot of time. There's also Hootsuite that's out there. I would say that's more of a varsity tool. It's still free. I would start with, Buffer and Meetup and getting active in these social platforms. And that's a great start. Google Alerts being another really important tool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So then the last one was, should we sell in social or point them to our website? Or even, should we have a website? What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
well, I think that, we definitely don't want to sell in social, right? But it depends on your definition of selling. To me, meeting people, becoming a social media concierge, leading with value, helping them accomplish what they want to accomplish, giving them useful information, connecting my peers together or folks that I'm connected with that want to connect. That's all part of selling, right? Selling isn't just getting the deal. It's helping people accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. But ultimately, you're going to transact in the real world. It's over a kitchen table or a coffee at Starbucks. That's where the real selling is going to happen. And I don't think that you need a website today. We've talked, everything that I shared with you does not require a website. However, if you do have a website, there's some other things that you can do, which we don't have time to go into today. But certainly, there's nothing wrong with having a website at all.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for everything that you've done today. I think it's been really valuable, hopefully for everybody in this audience. Paul covered a lot of great tips and pointers today that can help you get started in social media. Social media is something that we all have to understand because it's not going away. It's actually only going to increase in importance as more and more of our potential clients grow up with it. So I think we would recap by saying, get started. Review this material. Watch this replay, check out the resources Paul mentioned today, and just get started and try some things out. Look for more from us, from Transamerica. We're going to be busy providing you things. We have webinars coming up with a deeper dive on LinkedIn, as Paul mentioned. We also have a social media ebook, which is a great resource that complements the content that Paul talked about here, that covers the tactical wheel. That is all going to be made available in the follow-up communication coming out of this webinar, so you will get your copy of that. Definitely check that out and use that as much as you need to. And let us know. Let us at Transamerica know how we can help you grow your business. And if you have questions, make sure you reach out to us. Talk to us about, if you have a case that we can help you with. Reach out to your Transamerica sales desk or email us at lifesales@transamerica.com. We're here to help. And then if you want more Paul, you can definitely reach him on the contact information here, his Twitter handle and his LinkedIn profile. So definitely do that. And, Paul's been a great partner to Transamerica and to you all, and we really look forward to doing more with him in the future. So, Paul, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, and thanks for all of you that attended today's webinar. It was a lot of fun connecting with you. If you've got any questions related to any of the material that I covered, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'll do what I can to help you guys. But it's been a lot of fun. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. And thanks, everybody, for your time. Look for more from us in terms of resources and materials and tools in your follow-up communications. Happy selling, everybody.